wonder if Vista means something in Australian slang. Vista, I barely know her. There's the title.
Hello, and welcome to Achievement Hunting 101, the premier podcast that always leaves you satisfied. Today on the show is myself. You can call me Rocker, as well as, you can't call me this, but joining me is Big L.
Hello.
And KooshMoose.
Have fun storming the castle.
I don't get that reference. Moving right along into things. Actually, no, let's not move right along. I haven't talked to you guys in a while, like in 20 hours.
Are we getting real?
Just a little bit. We haven't like been getting real in a while.
Let's get real.
How have your lives been? Been good?
Yeah.
Anything different about you? Same old.
There's a lot more of me.
In a week? That's some serious gains.
In 20 hours.
Oh, 20 hours?
Yes.
Some serious gains.
More to love.
Yeah. Aww.
Amanda, hug and kiss.
All right. Well, I just want to see what's new with you. Nothing's new with me. So.
Whoa.
Failed segment. What?
Well, I guess we could ask Corey. Corey, is there anything new with you in, I don't know, the past 20 hours?
Oh, I'm glad you asked.
Oh.
No, not really.
Oh, what the heck?
Oh,
You're leading the witness.
Been learning video editing. That's about it. You should see that soon over on youtube.com/achievementhunting101. I think. We'll see.
It sounds good.
Yeah, we'll see how it turns out. But anyways, on to the game showcase. This is the part of the show where we showcase a few games from our week and let you know all about them. KooshMoose, let's start with you, buddy. Tell me about Bad North.
Bad North is so much better than North. Let me just tell you.
How is that possible?
Oh, yeah. So this game is going away. It'll be gone in 2 days from Game Pass. So if you're hearing this, you've already missed it. And I said a couple weeks ago that I was going to work on this. And I have put a little bit of time on it when I wasn't working on Mad Max and trying to get all that stuff sorted. But back to Bad North. This is a section about Bad North. And Bad North, you play, it's kind of a squad-based game. And it's very tactical, but not scary tactical. So when I think tactical, I think, oh man, okay, I have to plan this. I think Risk. I don't really like Risk. So this is more action oriented. You have squads, and you can only move them as squads. They can be melee, they can be pikes, they can be arrows, or archers, as most people call them. And you can position them on multiple spots on this rotatable map. Your goal is to protect houses that are on these little maps from invaders. And these invaders are coming to these islands that you're on. It's very, like I said, it's a small island that you're turning around. Sometimes they're large, sometimes they're very small. But they're not huge. You can see them very quickly. You don't have to like pan the camera or anything. All you're doing is rotating the camera. And attackers can be of any, different type. They can be archers as well. They can be barbarians. And so there's different paper, rock, scissors mechanics on, okay, which unit is good at defending against this unit. And you're basically just trying to make it through this campaign. So once you clear an island, you then can choose which island to move to next. Some of the islands contain items, and if you defend the island correctly, you get that item and you get to use it and assign it to one of your troops. I don't believe you can take it off of that troop, so it's going to be on that troop for the entirety of the campaign. Some of the maps will have flags on them. And if you go to a map that has a flag, you pick up a new unit. When you get that unit, I believe they are infantry. but they're not like they're not a leveled infantry, so they're very basic, just swords and shields, and they're not very good. So you can't really rely on them to help you out too much, but they can do some. They can do something, but they're not going to be specialized like really advanced archers or anything like that. As you progress through and you defend buildings, you get coins for every building that survives. You can then use those coins to upgrade your troops. To make them better. If you haven't already picked what specialty they're going to be, you can pick that specialty. I think you can upgrade those specialties 2 times. You can also add special moves, like archers can do a hail of arrows. So you can basically say, okay, we're going to shoot that ground there with arrows, and then you can basically time it so that if a whole bunch of groups come into that area, you'll pepper them and hopefully kill a whole bunch of the units that are in there. Now, the achievements, they're not quick. There's only 11, and I currently have 4. So I've got a lot of work to do in the next 2 days. I don't know that I'm going to get all of it done because there is kind of a grind for killing 15,000 Vikings. And there's a trick for this. Every now and then, everything is randomly generated, but every now and then you'll get a map where you are going up against units that aren't ranged, and they have to go up like a narrow staircase. If you can get a map like that, and you can then pick your pikemen, you can basically just put your pikemen at the top of the stairs and they'll kill everything. And if it's far enough into the campaign, there will be a lot of units. So you can basically farm kills later in the game when you run across one of these maps. And you kind of want to stop your progress and grind away towards that. The game is fun. I like it. It's not, there's not a whole lot of thinking that goes on. And when you go to move your units, it kind of slows down time, kind of like a bullet time. So if you don't act, yes, the units keep advancing. They keep trying to attack you. But it does give you a little bit of time to say, okay, I'm going to go here. I'm going to go there. But yeah, it's kind of a fun game. It's way better than North, and no relation, but yeah, I'm having a good time with it. And like I said, I don't think I'm going to get it done. And at the price at $15, I don't know that I'm going to pay $15 to play this later if I don't clean it up. So hopefully it'll go on sale if I can't get to it in the next 2 days.
You can get it for $3 off, Koosh.
What was that?
Oh, you can get 20% off, right? $3 off.
Oh, yeah.
Buy it now.
Get a little bit off, yeah.
I'm looking at genres. I see roguelite, I see strategy, and I see real time. I think I'm allergic to this game already, man.
Well, the strategy is very thin, so it's not going to be, basically you can say the strategy is paper, rock, scissors. This unit is good against this unit. And let's say you're going up against archers, you can train them. You can shoot them from far away with your archers, but then you can kind of train them towards you and then have your infantry get in front and they'll block all the arrows. So there's a little bit of strategy, but I wouldn't be, too scared of that genre label.
What's the roguelite piece about?
It's just that it's random. Every level's random. And you do get permanent progression, I believe. So if there's difficulty runs you can do. You can do an easy run. And that basically allows you to restart. So if you fail a map, you can restart it. No big deal. As you go through, you pick up those commanders, you pick up those special items. I believe those special items now you start with. I think that's true. I haven't gone through and tried my difficult run yet. And I think you can just basically start and append those to your groups. I could be completely wrong on that, and the hard might actually be harder than I think it is. And then the hard, it won't have that restart ability. And the achievement that's based off of that difficulty is completing the campaign on hard, recruiting all of the commanders. So that means not skipping an island that has one of those flags, and you keep them all alive. You can dashboard if you're going to lose, and then you don't have to restart from the very beginning. You just restart from the last fight, basically.
How many hours have you put into the game?
I have put...
Because I noticed you haven't completed the campaign at all.
No, I have not completed the campaign. I'm about 2 or 3 hours into it. And I basically play it late at night, so it's hard to keep track of time at that time of day. At the most 4 hours. because I've played it on, I think, 2 or 3 nights.
Do you think that you'll at least complete the campaign once on normal difficulty?
Yes, yeah. I think we're going to go through to complete that campaign. If I can find a good map, that's kind of my plan. I've almost killed 1,000 Vikings just through natural play. I'm probably about 70% through. So I will at least go in this playthrough to get the 1,000 Vikings while trying to get the winning an island in the snow and winning an island at nighttime, and also fully upgrading one of my commanders. So 4 I know I'm going to get. At that point, I'm going to have to make a hard call on whether or not I'm going to try the hard run and try to get 2 for 1 by trying to get that completed.
Yeah, definitely some good TA on the hard run and the 15,000 that you mentioned. Both over, one's over 5, one is over 6. 1,600 TA alone in those 2 achievements.
Yeah, just because that last one's so grindy, the 15,000 Vikings, because you can't. I don't think you're guaranteed to get that same map again. If you stop and you come back in, you might be able to get that same map again. And if that's the case, then you could just pause your campaign play at that point and just grind that one out.
All right. Well, good luck to you, sir. I wonder if this will make it into your 90% club before you have to buy it or not.
Yeah, there's a good chance of that.
Well, one game that I won't have to buy is Troll Hunters, Defenders of Arcadia.
Whoa, leave me alone.
This is my big game of the week. It came out 4 days ago. Yeah, 4 days ago as of the time that we're recording. So it came out last Friday, the 25th of September. I got it a little bit before during the week for review, and I finally accomplished something that I've been trying to do since starting this podcast, because I will never be good enough to get a world's first completion post-launch, but I was able to get one with a pre-release code. So with this game, I was the first to complete it on TA. That was pretty exciting for me. It was a decent enough game. It's made by Outright Games, or it's published by Outright Games. It's actually developed by Way Forward Technologies, which does some really good Metroidvanias.
Cool.
Yeah, they actually have some pretty decent games. Unfortunately, this one I don't think is in those top tiers, but it's still good for what it is. Like I said, it's published by Outright Games, and they are known for publishing kids games. So under that umbrella is Paw Patrol, Ugly Dolls, Cradle of Scoot, Race with Ryan, things like that. And so I took that, and that's where I kind of judged it from, because it is a game aimed towards kids and fans of this television series, which is on Netflix, that I have learned about Troll Hunters. Apparently it's a trilogy, if you didn't know. And this game branches or unifies the trilogy in some ways. I don't know. You're basically traveling through time and space to save the world from a trickster troll. But the game in itself is a 2.5D platformer. And what I like to think of it as is, all week I've been making this comparison. You take Paw Patrol, which is a 2.5D platformer, and it's a simple left to right, collect bones as you go. There's no enemies, and there's very basic tasks to get you through the end of the level and then through the game. This is like the next step from Paw Patrol for a kid. And so you're doing the same thing. You're going left to right, but then they add in obstacles. They add in combat with enemies. And then they add the stuff that you're collecting as a currency, whether it's these little sparks in the way, or dirty socks, or even these gnomes, which those are only good for like mini games and whatnot. But adding the combat to the level system is a little different. Being able to upgrade armor and buy items is kind of the next step up, but they're very basic. I only bought one item the whole game, and that was just to satisfy an achievement. I didn't have to use them, despite playing on the hard difficulty the very first time. It just wasn't that hard. If you happen to die, you could spend your currency to continue right where you left off. Or if you didn't want to spend your money, you would just start back at the beginning of that level. And that held true for bosses too. So it actually made it super simple and trivial to complete the game. But like I said, it's a kid's game. So there was that. And then the other part about it that kind of takes it up to the next level is you unlock friends throughout the campaign. And then the friends help you overcome obstacles or get to secret areas. And so like you might have to cross a very wide gap, and you'll have to use these magic people's surfboard that pops up, or you might have a stack of blocks you can't get past and your other friend breaks them, things like that. But yeah, it's your typical platforming. Has a boss at the end of each world. You do that about 5 or 6 times, and that's the game.
Is it colorful?
It's well, you know, some parts of it are very colorful. Other parts are actually not very colorful because you're like in caves and stuff. So it's very dark, actually.
Really? The box art is very colorful.
If you miss socks, does it let you know? Like those sorts of things, like the collectibles. Can you tell where you've missed a sock?
Yes, and that is important because I did mention socks and gnomes. You do have to collect every single one of those in the game for an achievement for each of them. And each level, I think, had 4 or 5 socks, and each level had 3 trolls. And you have a little counter at the end of each level to tell you what you missed. Number wise, it doesn't tell you like you missed the second one out of 4. You just missed one. So there was a couple levels I did have to replay. One of them I had to replay 3 times. I could not find this dang sock. It really sucked, especially when I was trying to be the first completion. But yes, you are able to see by level what you missed, and you are able to go back to them. So you don't have to do everything in one run, which is nice. One thing that it doesn't do is there is an achievement for completing the game on normal and for completing the game on hard. If you do hard mode, you will have to do normal mode. So what I did was I did everything in hard mode first, not knowing that. And then I kind of did a speed run through normal mode. I didn't care about collecting anything or even upgrading anything because, like I said, it's very low penalization for dying. So I think I speed ran that game in like 2 hours on normal mode. That was my last achievement actually. Otherwise, you're gonna get pretty much every achievement in the game on your first playthrough, except for this one that is related to a mini game, and that one actually takes skill. I was very excited when I got it, and that mini game is simply where you have a number of gnomes. You had to collect a certain amount to even play it, and then you take 3 gnomes and you have to hit these moving targets on the screen. And the achievement happens to be for playing one of these mini games but not missing a single time, and you have to do 10 of them. And if you happen to complete that mini game and you did miss one because you do have 3 gnomes, it sends you to the next level of the mini game, so it changed it up on you. So that kind of throws a wrench in the works. What I did to get around that was I think I got to like the 4th or 5th one, and I missed my 9th one. I think the 9th bullseye, and so I intentionally threw that one. So I didn't progress because I actually kind of had the rest of them memorized, and then I just did it like 2 more times, and I finally got it. But yeah, this game was not bad overall.
That was the you know what to do achievement. Very punny.
Probably, yeah.
There's one for sushi, serving up sushi. Is that another mini game?
There's
sushi?
another mini game, but that one you just have to simply play it. It's like one of the old Mr. Game & Watch things. You have to go left or right on the screen and catch falling sushi. Very simple. But yeah, I was stoked to get the first completion on it. Since then, there's been 6. It is a $40 game, so it's right in line with the rest of these games that this publisher has. It will likely go on sale probably fairly often for half off, and I would recommend it then. Maybe if you can catch it on that deal. $40 is actually pretty hard for me to recommend anything at that price when it's like maybe a 6 hour 6 hours of your time, but it does an okay job. I did peep the the Netflix show. The Netflix show actually looks really good. This one could step it up in graphics, but otherwise it is what it is. Very simple 2D platforming. Yeah.
Yeah, I was excited about this because my daughter has watched a little bit of all the shows. She really likes the Acaridian 5 one, so the space one. She really likes the space one, and I guess the latest one, the Wizards one, she watched a little bit of, but not so much the Troll Hunter one.
Yeah, I actually was trying to like watch those, and I was like, I'm gonna watch them in order, and like I picked the Troll Hunter one because it was the first one, and there was just so many episodes. I was like overwhelmed. Like, okay, I'm not gonna start this. Yeah. But it was pretty cool that it branched all of those different things, like you said, wizards and space and trolls, and it pulls it all together. It's by like, what's his name? I can't even, something de Toro.
Yeah.
That director.
Benicio.
No, I don't think that's it. It starts with a G.
Guillermo.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes.
So
Guillermo.
yeah, wait for a sale and probably play it with some older kids or yourself, and you'll have an easy completion on your hands. Speaking of easy completions, Elle, what did you play this week?
Oh, it's my turn?
Inconceivable.
What are you choking on over there?
Water.
Oh. Water. Speaking of water.
Good segue. Good segue.
I played the East Asia soft game 112th Seed. So I originally started this game for Leapfrog. I played it on day 5 because I noticed that there are achievements for completing level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and level 5. And then the achievements get weird. They go every other, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, and then 20 and 25 and 30 every 5. So it's very weird. Very front-loaded. Why they did that, I have no idea, since most people who start this game are going to finish it anyway. It's listed as a 0 to 1 hour on TA. Most people are probably going to use a guide for this. I did not. I actually did the whole thing by myself. I was very proud of myself. Basically, it's a very simple puzzle game. You just have to move some blocks around and throw some water droplets around and make some seeds get planted, and then you climb up the plant and you jump into the exit, and you do that 30 times, and you have yourself a completion. Believe it or not, this game keeps going after the 30 levels, and I only did a level or two, but it looked like there was this weird, like, scientist. I don't know, they tried to put a story in there, but no one's going to play this for the story. I would recommend this game, actually. I would recommend trying it legit. Usually these type of games, you start off legit, and then maybe you consult a guide if you get stuck, and then you stick with the guide. But I found it easy enough. So without a guide, it probably took me like 60 to 90 minutes, and with the guide, it might take you a half hour. But overall, I recommend it.
Streamed this game, and I know I made it into like the 20s before getting stuck, and I was just... I couldn't be fussed with trying to figure it out any longer than it. I stayed on that level, and yeah, I did result to a guide near the end. But
do you remember the game?
Otherwise, it was very easy. It had something to do with like 2 plants next to each other that you had to grow. Or they were very very close proximity to each other.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah. There's some ones later on. There was a couple that gave me some trouble, and then the next one would be easy. It was just a little weird like that. The difficulty was a little weird. But overall, I recommend this game if you're looking for an easy game that won't make you say, ugh, this is terrible. $5, like a lot of these are. And when you buy a game for $5, do you want to rush through it and just get the gamer score, or do you just maybe try it on your own? What do you think, Nate?
It's a rush.
Okay, rush job.
Well, I think most $5 games are like utility games. They're either streak savers, or they're I'm buying it for the letter for a contest or something like that. At least for me, $5 games don't tend to be quality games.
I understand.
There
what
is
you're
a
saying.
certain expectation that I think that you have to uphold it to, based off of its price, and yeah, $5 is you get what you pay for, right?
Unless it's Iron Snout.
Unless it's Iron Snout. All right. Did you have anything else to say about 112th Seed?
I don't, but I don't know what the title means. Do you? Were there 100?
Maybe there's 112 levels.
No,
maybe.
don't tell me that.
You only have to play a fourth of them.
Yeah, so it's one of these games where I intended to keep going past and see if there's an ending, but I don't know. So I haven't uninstalled it yet. We'll see if I go back to it.
Some poor developer spent a lot of time thinking of those puzzles.
Yeah, it's probably a good phone game. Also, it's probably
If only we had cross-buy on iOS.
Ooh.
Well, speaking of more $5 games, what utility did this your next game bring to you, Nate?
Yeah, well, it definitely wasn't for fun. I did not buy this game for fun. I bought this game to stay alive and maybe knock out 2 days of the Leapfrog challenge, and it was good for that. The game is called Mecho Tales. It's $5. It's publisher and developer Arcade Distillery.
Oh, that guy was like $1, right?
Yeah, well, I think it was $2 when I bought it. It's $5 now. It was on sale, I think, last week.
Yeah.
Or something like that. So I didn't pay the full price. I paid like $2 or $2.50 or something like that. If you look at this game and you look at the collection that it's in, the Luc Bernard collection, you'll notice a lot of similarity in the designs, and I think that a lot of the assets are reused between all of these games, and kind of makes sense. Those games are kind of strategy RPG, I believe, and it's not really something I was interested in with the art style. Like, sometimes art style will make me more interested in a genre that I'm not normally interested in. This one did nothing for me for those. So this was the only game in that collection that I was interested in, because it basically looks like a Mega Man. You have a character who has rotating set of powers that are earned at some point, and you can use them to different effects on different bosses and different, minion characters. So like I said, it's a little bit like Mega Man. The level design is kind of similar to that. In fact, there are levels with the disappearing blocks, if you know what I'm talking about. Yes, exactly. So if you've played the original Mega Man, I'm guessing, I'm pretty sure they did it in sequels too, but there were a series of rooms where you had to memorize the pattern of these blocks. And sometimes the pattern would overlap itself. So it would go kind of like in a retrograde motion. You'd kind of like move to the right a little bit, and you couldn't keep moving all the way to the right. You had to go back to the left in order to then progress farther to the right. So you had to memorize where these blocks would be. Now, they did that in this game, and they didn't do it as well as Mega Man, but they did okay. And it was enough to make me remember that. So, like I was saying, it's a lot like Mega Man. If Mega Man costs $2.50, it's not great, but it was okay. Now, I completed the game, and it wasn't that bad. The achievements were pretty simple, and for the most part, they were progression based. Beat this boss, beat that boss. Things for 100 health pickups, 1,000 cogs. Cogs are currency, so you'll get that naturally. Destroying 500 enemies. That actually popped pretty late in the game. I think it might have popped after I beat the game. I don't know if that's true or not. No, it looks like it pops before I beat the last boss. Then you have to purchase all of the upgrades. You don't actually get them by beating the bosses. You have to basically pay for them. And then, let's see, what was the last thing I ended up having to do? Yeah, the last thing I did, I think, was buying all of the bots, because you just have to grind and get so much currency, and you just don't get it by going through the levels. So, or, through a natural playthrough, you have to play more levels to get enough currency to do it. And that was actually the worst part, because when I was done the game and I no longer, had the draw of, oh, if I just beat this boss, I can, I get an achievement. And instead it's just like, oh, I just have to grind like these stupid coins. Like, I just want to find the flattest level with the fewest number of like instant deaths, because if you die, you basically start a level over. There is no like checkpoint system. So you just want the simplest level with no instant deaths, that also gives you a lot of coins, because it's very hard to find an easy level with a lot of enemies that will give you a lot of coins that doesn't also have the penalty of an instant death when you're rushing through it, right? Because you don't want to spend any more time on this game than you have to. So I just found myself rushing through the first couple levels, just trying to fly through them and be like, okay, is this my level? Is this my level? And I would just run into, I would fall off, or I would bump into this spike that was in a stupid place. I was just like, nope. So I spent a good 10 minutes hunting for the perfect level. I think I settled on, I think it was a boss. I ended up just fighting this one boss because it was very easy to get to. There were only like 2 screens before him, and then the boss pattern was pretty simple. So I ended up just killing that boss. I think it was the level 2 boss. And I just ended up killing him like 8 to 10 times and had enough money to purchase everything. And then I deleted it from my hard drive.
I have a vague memory of this game. It will be one of those games that is less than a 1.1 ratio that I just will not play. I know I started it, but I did not even get far enough along to get an achievement on my tag. I remember dying, and I think, like you said, you have to start all the way back at the beginning, so that sucked. Did that like 4 or 5 times, and I think I just turned it off, and I did not like the way it looked either. It was not a fun time.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, this for me was a utility game. It says 2 to 3 hours. I think that's probably pretty close. I probably spent about that amount of time. But really, I was just, at the very end, like I said, I was going to get the coins, and I just spent so much time. It just felt like I was wasting time and like shooting myself in the foot with like stupid deaths because I was trying to rush through it, just because I didn't want to play it anymore.
Aw.
Right.
Looks kind of fun.
So this is the only run and gun game that this developer publisher has made. Are you going to play his other titles?
I don't think so.
Strategy turn-based stuff?
I don't think so. I might
Is
have
that the
access
other
to...
Mecho game?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that is Mecho Wars. There's a War Theater, and then the older game from 2018 is Plague Road.
Yeah, I think War Theater and the other one, they're strategy turn-based. And I was just looking at the menus, and I was being reminded of Mecho Tales. I just it's too soon. Like, I don't want to go back in and play that. So would I play them in the future? Possibly. They're not very expensive. So they might be, good utility games. And if you don't have that problem with like stupid deaths of bumping into spikes and having to memorize the disappearing blocks, maybe it's better.
Yeah, another positive is that they're all play anywhere. So, cheap or lesser powered computers should have no problems playing these games.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Have that going for it.
The first playthrough, I didn't mind as much because I was taking it slow and I wasn't trying to die. And it really was giving me that Mega Man vibe. But, not good. Not a good Mega Man, but like an okay. It was just when it was down to the grindy bits that I was just really kind of done with the game. It's not a game that you want to just fly through. You have to be careful, or else you're going to restart those levels.
I noticed something in the description. It says there's 4-player local multiplayer.
Yeah, there is 4-player local multiplayer.
Is that the main game, or is that its own little mode?
That, I think, is the main game.
Wow, that sounds
but I don't have anyone that I don't want to have any. I don't have anyone that I would want to put
how
through
it works because it doesn't look conducive to that.
If you go to the hub and you look at
I'll have to check it out.
The screenshots, like the very second picture, you're fighting one of the tougher bosses, and it's got 4 people on the screen, and I don't know how that works.
Sounds messy. Sounds intriguing, though.
Yeah, but the sprites are very big in this game, so having 4 people on the screen just seems like a huge mess to me. But I would love to hear how that works out for you.
Because I remembered also it's a Win 10 game. So I was like, oh, this sounds like a good Win 10. Whoa, 4 players. That was my thought process.
Yeah.
Maybe
There's no
gather the
escaping
kids.
you and multiplayer.
I'll give it a whirl.
Speaking of escaping,
I was going to say, speaking of utility games and keeping with that theme, I revisited an old friend called Castle of No Escape 2. Now, the first Castle of Escape is a quick it might be 1 to 2 hours. I think it might be 0 to 1 as well. It's a very short game. It's not hard at all. The second version, the one that I'm talking about, it was about 4 to 6, maybe 5 to 6 hours for this completion. It already had cheats in it and everything, so I think there was a challenge to the game, and I couldn't be bothered to do it, and so I skipped out on it until this week. This past week, Castle of No Escape 2 received a patch from the developer, and this is after Castle of Escape 1 got a patch. Now, I did say Castle of Escape 1 was easy, and it was easy, but they added cheats in there to make it super easy. And they did the exact same thing with Castle of No Escape 2. The achievement guide maker, Chewie Guides, he put out a video for this game. And in the video, he gave a little bit of history in the front part of it, saying that he worked with the developers or they reached out to each other and were having a discussion about how adding cheats to the first game boosted sales. And so they were going to do the same thing with the second game. And so they worked with him as soon as they dropped it. They let him know when he made the video. Now the game is $8. You can buy a bundle with both the games in there for $9. So that's 2,000 gamer score for $9. Very easy. And that's not on a sale. So you could watch it. But the second one, the one that I played this week with the cheats, it did allow me to complete the game in about 5 minutes. It was a glorious rush of adrenaline. Let me tell you, that's the kind of game that like gets you in and you're saying, bleep bloop, bleep bloop, bleep bloop. Oh man, it felt so good. So good to see those pops, to know that I would not have to finish this game and it wouldn't have to stay on my tag all filthy and uncompleted. So yeah, this game, you put in a cheat code at the main menu. You wait about 5 minutes. That's probably over half the achievements pop there. You go back and forth to a few rooms. You do have to complete one room without getting a hit. Super easy. Pick a room with like 2 enemies and don't be that bad, and you will be on your way. I don't recall what the TA was before this happened, but the TA now on the game is 1,050. It tanked super hard. So I know that was a very popular game this week amongst the community. And so maybe put that on your wish list if you want to wait for a sale, because there is a bundle. But Castle of No Escape 1 and 2 are both super easy now, all thanks to cheats.
So the achievements pop right away, or you just have to...
So the first one you do that with the cheat code, like it's the kind where it's like surviving Mars, like they're backlogged, they're just popping. You're waiting for the pops to stop. And then if you follow the guide for like maybe up to like the 3-minute mark, he's going in, he's like interacting with this thing, which is kind of like in a set spot. He's hitting this thing and killing these enemies for just a minute or two. And then the other 2 achievements are for starting the game with the other 2 characters that you can pick from. But other than that, that's the game.
So what you're saying is
with
that the dev patched the game to make cheat codes to make you get a really quick and easy completion?
Yes, to increase their sales.
And did it work?
You know what?
People were talking about it.
Yeah.
It was definitely making the rounds. it's more expensive than the first Castle of No Escape. Looking at Castle of Escape, the first one right now, which is on sale for $2.39 this week, normally $3. It has over 1,000 people tracked on it. I don't know what that was prior to the cheats either. Castle of Escape 2, again, it's $9, not on sale, but it's almost at 400. So I think that is tracking. It wasn't a super popular game before, and I'm sure they at least made a few $100 by adding cheats in. So
looks like it.
I think we're keeping the utility thing going. What was your other game, El, this week?
All right. Well, on day 9 of Leapfrog, I decided to go with a game that Michelle and Devin used, and they talked me into playing Clash Force, which is a good old Ratalaika game. Came out in July. Wow. Basically, when I asked what this game was, Michelle said, it is baby's first Contra, and I have to agree with that sentiment. It is baby's first Contra. Basically, you just run through the levels, shoot stuff, collect different guns. Like, of course, the best weapon is, of course, the spread shot. Mm-hmm. And in this game, you get 3 lives per level. So if you, or I guess by lives, I mean hits. You get 3 hits, and then you die. But if you die, you just start from the level you're on. You don't have to go back to the beginning or anything. Oh, man, I should have tried the Konami code. That would have been cool. That would have been an amazing idea. So Clash Force, I completed in 55 minutes. That's probably way longer than it should have. Maybe I was doing something. So there's the achievement list is probably the most straightforward list you could ever have. Each level you complete, you get an achievement. And you get achievements for the first 15 stages. Much like 112 Seed, the game does continue afterward. I believe...
And much like 112 Seed, you didn't play it.
I did, and it got really hard. And the next stage, I died a lot, so yeah, I gave up.
I wonder why they stopped the achievements there.
I know, I wonder why they did that. But I did look on YouTube to see how long the game was. And believe it or not, I found someone with a full playthrough of the game. And the file is 1 hour and 20 minutes. Up to where I got was around 40 minutes. So it looks like there's still a decent amount left. But I believe there's a chapter select also. There's actually 3 save files where that save your progress in this game. So it's actually pretty well made. And it looked like there was 3 or 4 more stages. So this is another game that I actually recommend. You know, not all Ratalaikas are created equal. This one I enjoyed. Enjoyed my time with it. Enjoyed the music. I enjoyed the graphics. I enjoyed the gameplay.
Yeah, this is one of those games that I've played, completed, and don't have any recollection of it.
Well, it doesn't help to have a game like a title like this. I feel like all these games are so generically titled. I don't know. Maybe if you saw some video, you would remember.
If you're gonna say it, you got to say it like X the Hero.
Clash Force.
Clash Force.
Clash Force.
I genuinely enjoyed this game. Clash Force. As you wish.
All right. Well, I think that will do it for the game showcase. All about those hashtag utility games this week.
All right. We had some long games.
Moving
some
on.
Short games. We got games everywhere. Now we got other stuff.
Now we got more games. Woo! Moving on to the news. This is a reminder. We have a date set for a news story that we hit on last week. EA Play joins Xbox Game Pass. That has been officially announced to come November 10th. So we are just over a month away from getting free EA games in our Game Pass Ultimate subscription. That does not include the PC version of Game Pass or the PC version of these games. That will come sometime in December. I actually think I pay for EA Access / EA Play and don't use it. Are you guys excited for EA games coming?
I remember getting a year of EA access once. It was like $5 or $10 off on Newegg one year, and I think it was just to play Titanfall or something like that.
I remember getting an EA sub when we were doing Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare, because the Xbox One version hadn't gone on sale in a while, and the physical discs were a little too expensive at the time, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do that. So I actually have Garden Warfare. The Xbox version is still on my 90% list. I have one achievement to get. So I'm very excited that I will be able to knock that out in November. I'm also kind of excited because there's a lot of those punch cards for EA like sports titles, like downloading.
Oh, that you can kind of hack.
Yeah, do you think they're going to keep doing those punch cards? And if so, I mean, yeah.
I mean, they do them already for like Microsoft games.
Yeah.
That go into Game Pass. So I don't see why not.
Yeah, so I'm kind of hoping that they do that. And then you can use EA, this free that you're already paying for, EA Pass to kind of get a couple more Microsoft points.
You know, they have added Plants vs. Zombies Battle for the Neighborville.
Yeah.
We could smelling a new boost night. Just saying.
It's very interesting because when you think of EA, you would probably think sports titles, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of sports titles, but there's a lot of non-sports titles too. It's surprising to see how many. There's the very excellent Away Oot. There's the Battlefield series. There's the Dead Space series. Dragon Age games.
I don't have a number here, but
there's a lot of
scrolling,
games.
I would have to say there's at least 60 games here.
Star Wars Battlefront games, The Sims 4, Titanfall 1 and 2, and Unravel 1 and 2. So yeah, good variety here. SSX. Good stuff.
Skate 3.
Meh.
So yeah, that is coming very, very soon. We don't need to hear about your Peggle.
Oh, you don't want to see my Peggle?
No. The next news story is actually quite exciting. So I'm going to read a quote here from it. The Xbox One, along with millions of fans who were part of its journey, are certainly worth celebrating. Xbox Hall of Fame, running from October 1st to 19th, has been created to do just that. Competing for a spot in the Xbox Hall of Fame is as easy as registering your gamertag and playing your favorite games on Xbox One to place first in any of the 8 categories. So before I go into the categories, so this is like a celebration competition event that is free to register. You just go to the Xbox promotion page for it and click register. You might have to do that about 30, 40 times for it to actually work, but you will see your gamer tag has registered, and just you'll be entered into whatever they're tracking. It's, there's no consequence to signing up and not doing anything. So I definitely think that you should do it, simply for the fact that you get some Microsoft points that I'll mention here in a little bit. But back to the 8 categories that they are going to track. If you get first in any of these, you will be placed into the Xbox Hall of Fame. And I think that you get an Xbox Series X with that placement. But there are 3 categories that are going to be based on the lifetime of your gamer tag, basically through October 19th, as it were. Now, these are going to be a little hard for most of the population of our community and for just the general population in general, because you do have to be the first over the lifetime of the Xbox gamer tag achievement system. But they are Gamerscore Legend, and that is going to be for the first or the top Gamerscore earner, I believe, in your country, but that might be overall. It's a little inconspicuous there. The next one, however, is Achievement Conqueror, and they want to see how many achievements you have unlocked in your lifetime, and that one does detail that you want to have more than any other player in your country. And so I know that Waka is going to try to make a strong showing where he's at. I would imagine Sweden.
Oh, very good. Just seeing if you knew
I would
that.
imagine that Redemption Denied has a good
Where's
look
he
at
at?
this. He's in the U.S., but I don't know where he's sitting right now. But yeah, so that one is strictly on number of achievements, and the last one under Lifetime Triumphs is Game Pass Ruler. They want you to play all the Xbox Game Pass games. Now, I don't know how that's going to work out, if it's like first to play them all, because surely somebody has probably dived them all. We do have newer listener Milky Bars are on me. He plays and dives every game. That guy is a machine, and so he definitely has at least the UK spot lined up for that one, I would think. The other 5 categories are specific dates. So I'll name each one, and you have to do something specific in each one. And so the first one is called Sea of Thieves Legendary Captain. Earn as much emissary. Thank you. Emissary value as you can in this particular voyage over the qualifying weekend. So that's October 2nd through the 4th. So that'll be just after this podcast drops. You do have to be Pirate Legend or higher, I guess. So if you are that and you do love Sea of Thieves, this weekend is when you're going to want to be playing that to try and do whatever you do in that game. I don't know.
I think it's only for Kingsman.
It might be only for, and maybe Awu. Awu.
Oh,
I think he's done
man, it's been a minute. Oh, voice crack.
Thank you. The other games that you will want to pay attention coming up soon, actually, no, this one's already started. Forza Horizon 4 Hall of Fame. So there is a special Hall of Fame circuit in Forza Horizon 4. And you have to drive a specific car. Going through October 20th, you want to get the fastest lap. So if you are actually skilled at Forza, then that might be something to look into. State of Decay 2 is the last game in this section. October 16th through the 18th, there's going to be a new zone map, is what it says, and they want you to clear all the plague hearts as quickly as you can without any multiplayer help. So if you are really advanced in any of those 3 games, you can win yourself an Xbox Series X if you are the best at what they are asking you to do. Now, the more important categories for us are Gamerscore Champion. So from October 1st, the day that this podcast drops, through the 19th, they're going to track Gamerscore earned, and the person who scored the most will be the Gamerscore Champion. And Achievement Defeater is the second category that I think that we would care most about, and that is, of course, unlock as many achievements as you can from October 1st to 19th.
Wow.
So I already know that you guys are not going to play State of Decay, Forza, or Sea of Thieves.
I don't know.
And I already know that you guys are not going to have the most gamer score and achievement unlocked.
Oh, whoa.
No offense.
Whoa.
No offense.
I don't know.
I don't
But-
know.
In the span of about 20 days, what do you think would... I don't think we're ever going to know this or have a leaderboard to track. What would you think that a person could score during that time, or will score?
I mean, could they start from scratch?
You know, I don't know. I don't know why that would make a big difference. They might say that you had to have a pre-existing gamer tag.
Because you can get
Say they had like
boatload.
10,000. Make it true achievement rules. 10,000 minimum gamer score before it starts.
You could get a foof a day. I don't know about that, but
So in theory, someone who'd already created a tag for a TA contest but didn't go too far could still have a tag that isn't loaded to the guilds.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we wouldn't go that far to create alts or anything.
No, we're not that crazy.
we're just 3 podcasters having fun.
Exactly. I don't know. 20 days, 3 weeks, basically, to get as much gamer score as somebody possibly can. I'm thinking that's got to be like at least 300,000 with the right games, the right collection, and not working.
Yeah, I was
or
gonna
eating
say,
or sleeping
like,
much.
Is this someone who's trying to keep their job and their marriage and their relationship with their children?
Oh, it's
or...
most definitely somebody who's single.
Okay. Someone who's trying not to get kicked out of their classes.
Now, the other one, the achievement defeater, that one's interesting because you could just try to find the games that have 100 achievements in them that you could knock out in a few hours and do as many of those as possible.
I mean, if you had access to, I don't know, pretty much every Ratalaika and you hadn't been,
So you're saying like an alt that might have access to Elroy's catalog.
I'm saying possibly. That might be possible. But yeah, gosh, I think even 300's low.
Oh, yeah?
I think there's some real nutballs that they could just blow that out of the water. For some reason, like 500 or 600 is like in my head, but I don't know.
True, man. That would be ones for the record
It'd
books
be
right
insane.
there.
Because
they would definitely earn Hall of Fame status then.
You know that it's not just, some people are going to go in and do this as a team.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I mean, there are team accounts out there, and I'm sure that they could just, 24 hours a day, just pump out.
And then what?
And then
they could win a Series X?
They do a timeshare with a Series X. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, man. Reminds me of that Simpsons episode where you chip in to buy a Radioactive Man #1. It's sad. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that's okay.
I think I do, actually.
Yeah. It's classic.
In any case, if all of that competition is just a little too much for you, there is something of value to sign up. Like I said, you will probably want to register anyways, especially if you are into Microsoft reward points, because there are 2 punch cards related to this Hall of Fame stuff. And essentially, you can get 1,500 Microsoft rewards points, depending on how much gamer score you accumulate during that October 1st through 19th period. So up to 10,000 gamer score, they will do a reward point for every gamer score accumulated. So I'll tell you right now, I am getting at least 10,000 gamer score next week, or within the next couple of weeks. I'm going to try to do it all next week.
Well, I'm just looking at the Ratalaika and the East Asia soft games you guys just talked about. I'm halfway there. So
you got this.
I'm looking at all these visual novels from the Rat. Like, I have been sitting on them, not wanting to play them.
Yeah.
So that's at least half of it right there.
We can't see your air quotes when you say play, by the way. Just so.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm going to hit play on
Now
this.
I
I think he said. Yeah, that's a competition I can participate in.
And who doesn't love Microsoft reward points?
Seriously.
Are we equating that to like $15? Is that what the ratio is nowadays? I don't reward point as much as you do, Koosh.
I think Koosh has a spreadsheet dedicated to such
I
endeavors.
think that's right. Well, 15,000 is that? No, that's not. It's not really going to be $5.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. This is 10,500,
Yeah.
not 15,000.
Yeah, 10,500. No, that is not $15 or even $10.
It'd be $10, right?
I don't think so.
$10 on a hot deal.
On a hot deal that they no longer do.
Oh, is that gone?
Yeah, I think
I
it's
missed that
gone.
memo.
I think there was an announcement saying that the hot deals are dead. They're officially
no.
cold now. So yeah, so it's
Rip.
not as good as you would hope.
Well, that takes us to our last news story. That is just a very quick blurb about the Xbox Series X and its performance. Today, actually, we've been getting reports on the load times for different various games that reviewers are sending out there. And from The Verge, Tom Warren posted a table where he was doing some comparison between an Xbox One X and an Xbox Series X. And we have some impressive load times on these games. The ones that stick out the most are Sea of Thieves. It loaded an entire minute quicker Warframe was actually over a minute and a few seconds, and something like Assassin's Creed Odyssey loaded in half a minute. And these are pretty good times. I'm hoping the Xbox Series S is similar, if not maybe a second or two slower, because that is currently the route I'm taking. Do these times impress you guys? Are you excited? Both of you have an X pre-ordered. Are you excited to be experiencing less waiting?
Breaking news. I was wrong. Uh-oh. It is $10.
Nice.
Well,
back to your question.
Glad to be right.
Sorry. Back to your question. I know that someone's screaming at me right now. They've been screaming nonstop for like 3 minutes. I just wanted them to stop.
Mike Pitch, stop it.
Yeah, Mike Pitch.
Yeah, Mike Pitch. Go eat a taco, Mike Pitch.
So yeah, load times. Are you guys excited to experience them less?
Of course. That's basically what it's going to do for us, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
Are you actually, so are you think that they should be better? Were you expecting better?
No.
Like, I was thinking like sub 15 seconds for games. I'm a little too optimistic, apparently.
Well, these are some heavy hitters on this list. So maybe most games will be.
Yeah, I mean, most of these are, I guess. Destiny 2 in 43 seconds versus almost 2 minutes is actually very impressive.
Yeah.
The Outer Worlds says 6 seconds, which that's really good. But that's the only one that's sub 10.
I mean, anything
probably
that gets,
the smallest game.
Anything that gets Red Dead Redemption 2 down more is great. I mean, that's definitely got me interested.
Yeah, absolutely. And I should also note that these are times as of September 29th. So we are, more than a month away from this console being released, and no optimization for these games have been done. This is purely on whatever built-in backwards compatibility the system is doing. So they could get even better.
And not just the load times, but they said that like the games look better and they're playing better. With no optimizations.
Yeah, I think I saw a tweet from who was the one playing it? I saw a tweet from someone saying, "Yeah, I'm going to be replaying a lot of my games. They just look so much better." Someone said
clearly not an achievement hunter
to replay their games
unless there's a stack.
Well, no one told us what the Iron Snout loading times are going to be now, so
yeah.
Man, you can slay so many wolves.
Unreal.
So many wolves.
So, question.
All right. Yes.
We're all getting new shiny Series X's, right?
Well, except for Corey.
All right. Well, he's getting a shiny little white Series X S.
S, yeah.
Because he's insufficient in life. So, are you going to play some AAA games on that bad boy? Gotta have something lined up to play. Take advantage of the new hardware.
Day one. Gems of War.
Yeah. And are we going to be needing some new TVs too? Take advantage of this stuff?
Exactly. You need all that. Why get a Series X if you don't have it?
All right, fine. Canceling.
I've already got a 4K TV. So,
but anything beyond that needed?
I
don't know. At some point.
I mean, it depends. Like, obviously, it's going to support better refresh rates. I don't know what your TV is probably 60 hertz.
Yeah.
I mean, all that stuff can be better unless you're rocking like, multiple $1,000 monitors.
No, I went for when the series or when the X came out. Yeah, when the X came out, I needed to upgrade a TV anyway. So I made sure that I got not the bottom tier, so not scraping the 4K barrel at the bottom, but just up like a step. So it was 4K HDR or SHDR because it's a Samsung, so they have to put an S in there somewhere. So so that's what I got, and it's been great. What would I want to play to show the power of it? Well, when I got the Series X, dang it, not the Series X. When I got the X, man, they really should have rethought this naming. It's really horrible. I got Super Lucky's Tale.
Right. I remember.
And it looked okay. It looked good, but I wouldn't
It's like a really, really good PlayStation 3 game.
Yeah. Like I wasn't blown away. I wasn't blown away. I could see putting in something like Control, and just really something that really hammers the system, and just especially since I haven't played that, like it's going to look really good to me no matter what. I think so. So yeah, I want to try that. I think when I get my Series X,
and that's why it's such a shame that Halo Infinite's not going to be ready, because that would have been perfect. I think. Because right away I'm thinking Halo 5, which still looks good, and maybe like Gears 5. Those would be good to show it off, I think. Games that have the Xbox One X enhanced updates, and then some of them are going to get Series X updates too, right? That's the idea.
Yeah,
well, I hope so.
I'm just excited to put Tony Hawk on there and Rocket League, and that way I can leave Tony Hawk running so the multiplayer works for me, and I could pop the Rocket League whenever I needed to.
Did you say Rocket League?
I said Rocket League.
Sorry, I have to go. Come on.
Prue's calling.
We've been playing Rocket League every night, by the way. I have no idea why. Because it's free to play now. So all the people that we already all had it, but now it's like, ooh, free to play.
There is a lot more people playing it. What they are not doing are they're not buying games. Let's move on to our wheeling and dealing section, talking about this week's sales. I actually don't have anything to recommend this week, but I have some community recommendations that I have not cleared with them. So take my word over theirs. Mental Knight wants to recommend Aqua Kitty UDX at $2.69. Elroy OMJ would also like to recommend Captain Cat. Captain Cat for $2.49. And Fufu Cuddly Poof would like to recommend Purple Chicken Spaceman at $3. I've seen each of those individuals rave about each of those games, and they would not want you to miss it. L, what are you buying this week?
The only game that I think I want to buy is this game, Abyss, The Wraiths of Eden, an Artifex Mundi game that is $1.50, down from $15, and it's a 5 to 6 hour completion. I haven't played an Artifex Mundi game in a long time.
You're probably going to regret that decision.
No, I like them. We get the family together to do the hidden picture things, so it's fun. We crazy like that.
Okay.
If you want an easy 1K, it looks like Aborigines is a 0 to 1 hour for $3 instead of $5. And that's all I got.
All right, very cool. Resident Deal Seeker Nate, what did you find this week?
Well, I would like to recommend The Aquatic Adventure of the Last Human because it is a Vayner.
Yes.
$6 down from $15. That's a significant savings. The game is not fantastic, but there is a walkthrough. And, it reminds me of, basically you're in a sub, so it kind of reminds me of some sub-based games where you're shooting left and right. It's been a while. I need to go back to this, but the walkthrough, I think, made this sound like it was a 6 to 8 hours I want to talk about. I want to say, so it's not that bad. The other game I want to talk about, because it never goes on sale, is Fairy Legends of Avalon. This is a 360 game, backwards compatible. It is $149, down from $749. It is 6 to 8 hours. It is 200 gamer score. There is a walkthrough. It is a turn-based RPG. And yes, I'm kidding. It is on sale every week. My hope is that enough people buy it that this thing just goes away and we don't have to see it every week. It's actually not horrible. It is a very bare bones RPG with turn-based combat, and it's not horrible. And the walkthrough is not horrible. I think I was doing this because of the RP Gainer. I was looking for cheap RPGs that weren't going to take too long, and this one fits that bill. pretty easily. Unfortunately, it is only 200 gamer score, but come on. If everybody gets this, maybe they will stop putting it on sale.
Doubt.
And also a quick correction. The Aquatic Adventures of the Last Human says 15 to 20 hours on the walkthrough. But if you are the next person to complete it, you will make the infamous top 10 for completions. All right, moving on to the best kind of sale, and that is free. We have some Game Pass additions. So, as everybody and their mother predicted, Bethesda games will start coming to Game Pass, and that is going to start with Doom Eternal on October 1st. So today that you're listening, Doom Eternal is available to you, as well as Drake Hollow on the PC. This is an ID at Xbox game that is currently in the console version of Game Pass, I do believe. It's a cooperative up to 4-player village building game, kind of like Fortnite, I think, like the single player Fortnite. I'm actually going to try to hook up with Fufu and play this one, if I'm correct. You can also get the legendary, awesome Brutal Legend that is coming to consoles October 8th. You can get Forza Motorsport 7 finally, I guess. That one's been long awaited for a car enthusiast. It has cars, but not the fun ones, apparently. And then another ID at Xbox game, Iconfall, is coming to console and PC October 8th. That is a turn-based tactical RPG. This was made or published by Humble Bundle. They are known for publishing some pretty great games. So if you like tactical RPGs at all, this one will probably be better than the average based off that pedigree. Koosh, can you tell me about what's leaving Game Pass?
I sure can. It's Felix the Reaper from console and PC. That is a stack. So that is almost 2,000 gamer score worth of game. Because I think
more like 1,900.
Exactly. That's why I said almost 2,000, because there are some achievements you just can't get. Metro 2033 Redux, console and PC. I believe that is also a stack, but who's got time to play that much Metro? Minute on console and PC. That is not a stack. And that's a good game, so you should play it. I don't care what anyone on Discord says. It is a good game chip. Saints Row 4, re-elected on the PC. And State of Mind on the PC is a short game that you can complete. I want to say, gosh, I'm just going to get my estimates all wrong today, so I'm not even going to say. It's a short game. There's a walkthrough. You can get it done.
Yeah, these are all leaving October 15th to 2 weeks to play them. I do second that recommendation for a minute. Play it with a guide and it'll be great. And I do actually recommend Felix the Reaper, not only to try to boost the TA I have in that game, but it actually is kind of fun. And there are guides out there if you do need them.
I think I'm going to save Minute for the first week of GTask.
There you go. It did have some good TA last time.
Someone
I looked.
said it was probably worth like 1,600 TA, right? Because they said it was 600 TAD.
That sounds right. I definitely did it. I definitely did it during my last GTask run, and yes, it is a little bit over 1,600 TA. We also got Games with Gold, so we have all the news this time. We did not get podcasted out on this one.
Tuesdays.
Elle, can you tell me about Games with Gold?
I can, but first I wanted to brag about being the one to guess that Doom Eternal was coming to Game Pass last week. Just saying. In a totally unrelated discussion, October Games with Gold, all are scary games. Ooh. On the Xbox One, we have Slayway Camp Butcher's Cut, Made of Skur. Oh, I think Slayway Camp is a puzzly game, right? And Made of Skur is a FMV game. That means FMV. Man, back in my day, we had like fancy FMV games on our CD-ROMs. Oh man, good times. Sphinx, which is an Xbox original, and I can't say I've heard of that one. Sphinx and the Cursed Mummy. And Costume Quest, which is an Xbox Live Arcade title where 200 gamer score, even though it was incorrectly advertised as having a 3,000 gamer score for all three of these. Wrong. I believe it's 2,200, and then a DLC makes it 2,250. Yeah.
I just don't know how somebody in marketing could just get that wrong. Like, why? If you're going to put it, you might as well put the right number.
I guess they just assume everything's worth 1,000, and they knew enough that the Xbox original wasn't.
I don't know. It makes no sense. Yeah, I think I'm actually going to start Costume Quest 2 this month for the spookiness. I own Slayaway Camp. Made of Skur looks too scurry for me, and I've never heard of that Xbox One game, or Xbox original game.
You need to get wifey next to you and start playing the game, and then do the whole. I guess you would jump into her arms. Never mind.
Yeah.
Save me.
Yeah, I don't think that would fly.
Yeah.
Okay. You have anything, Nate?
I was going to say, every year I tell myself I'm going to do the Costume Quest in October, and I never do. So maybe this year...
It's way better than all the other stuff you've been playing.
Yeah. This year is the year I won't say I'll do it, and then maybe I will do it. I'm definitely looking to
I think your daughter will like
Felix.
it, by the way.
She might. She might like it.
She will.
It is fun to kind of roller skate around.
It really is.
So, yeah. But yeah, I'm going to try and knock out Felix the Reaper before that goes out, and then maybe a Costume Quest.
There we go. Sounds good.
Don't Felix the Reaper.
All right. We are moving on to our contests portion of the show. We have a new one for you guys. Leapfrog is still going. There are actually, in my opinion, too many people that are still in it that are friends with the AH101 account. So we will call out the top tier people. We'll try that next week to see if we lose you guys.
It's like over 20. No?
There's a good bit, yeah. And as of podcast day, we will be on day 18. So they're getting 18 achievements today, and then 19 tomorrow, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I think that one's going to be going on for quite a while. But the new hotness in town is GTask 2020. Registration is open, and it starts on Monday, October 5th. So this coming Monday is the very first week of GTasks. You have to register by Friday night. So tomorrow, if you miss that, you have missed GTask. And if you are a badge hunter, you do need to register for the individual side and make it to at least week 4 or through week 4. I don't know. You should probably make it to week 5 just to be safe for whatever that is. When it comes to the team side, it will have teams of 4 this year. That is up 1 from last year. The shtick of GTask 2020, again, like last year, is TA difference, which is the difference between true achievement score and gamer score earned during the periods. So obviously, harder achievements are more rewarding. And this time, the contest is only going to run for 25 periods of 1 week each, barring no Xbox Live issues or ratio go uppities again.
I like that word.
Thank you. I did not make it up. We will be following all of the teams and individuals like last year. So if you want to be on that follow list and get shouted out, follow the AH101 True Achievements account. I think the link is always in the description. And we will shout out to you as you lose in these periods, and then the winners at the end. Nate, Gamertag Challenge. We're about to start a new month.
Yes, we are almost done with Hat 90 in September. And you have heard me talk about that a whole bunch. So get your achievements marked up in the spreadsheet. You've got a couple days between the time the month ends and the time when we draw the winner. So go ahead and get that done, and we will announce the winner next week. Speaking of next month in October, we have randomly picked patron member Dark Lord Davis as the gamertag challenge. And he has already chosen his game. It is an achievement or a completion in Amnesia Collection. We have not yet nailed down the bonus, or if there's going to be a bonus. So we will give you more information on that next week.
Amnesia.
This is Dino Bull, right?
Yes, this
but
is
his
Dino
gamer
Bull.
tag is Dark Lord Davis.
Yes.
Right?
He's a man by many names.
He likes his D's. Dark Lord Davis, Dino Bull, Dentistry. He's a man of many D's.
Yep.
Just don't forget about the Amnesia bonus. See what I did there?
Yes. Amnesia.
No.
What?
Okay, what? Forget it.
All right, time for Proclamation Point.
Wait a minute. Don't forget random to-do list. Hello, it's October now.
Okay, yeah.
That is my favorite contest, and you just go out of your way to just not talk about it. You talk about other things. Random to-do list is the freaking best, all right?
That was random, but if you say so.
Like the random to-do list.
Exactly.
What's that guy's name? Railbait came in. He's like, I haven't been here in a while, but Leapfrog brought me back. I love contests. I have a reason to play my games. And he's like, what's the random to-do list? I'm like, yeah. Random to-do list is where you get a list of 25 achievements, and you go for them. It's really simple. It's run by the wonderful ZZ Urban Spaceman and the Real Gamerscore podcast. And we have a RTDL channel that you need to opt in. You go to #role management, and then you click on RTDL. And while you're there, click on Gtask and all the other fun stuff we have going on. So yeah, make it happen. And we need to do a team one. I'm going to keep mentioning it every month until it's done.
I'm sure it will come soon. There's also the Chewie stuff. I'm sure he'll have a thing probably next week. But there's a lot of fun new Halloween-themed names in the Discord.
Oh, speaking of Chewie, we just, my family watched the Empire Strikes Back the other day. You were not going to believe what happens at the end of that movie. Oh my God, don't tell anyone. It's crazy, crazy spoiler. You look confused. I'm not telling you what happens.
Trying to make a joke about which one, but I don't know which movie that is. I know it's not the one with Jar Jar.
What? Whatever the most famous Star Wars spoiler there is, it's that one.
I heard that it really
Darth
doesn't
Vader
mean...
quote.
Oh, yeah. Somebody told me, I think it was Anna Kendricks, that Vader means father in German. I don't know. Moving on to, Proclamation Point.
Oh, why didn't you say so?
Oh, I did twice. Oh. Okay. Completions. This is a much trimmed down Proclamation Point, by the way. Thank you for that feedback.
Oh, it's like the Briss camp.
Completions. We have Fuoth. He has completed 50 games. New listener that we know of, XNeo21X is his gamer tag. I will call him Neo. He has reached a milestone of 300 completed games. And Seamus McElimy hit 330 completed games this past week. And he said, no, that's not enough. And he completed 5 more and hit 335 completed games. For completion percentage, Northern Lass hit that very cool 50% completion percentage, as well as Fuoth. Fuoth is a little newer of a gamer, so he has 74,000 available achievements next to Northern Lass's 30,000, but still 50%, no matter where you're at, is pretty cool. And Mark B, longtime achievement hunter of ours, is at 65% completion.
All right, it looks like I'm going streaking. Speaking of streaking, Skeptical Mario has encouraged all of these crazy people to get 10-day achievement win streaks and then break them and then do it all over again. And people are doing it. Here are the people that have done it this week. ZZ Urban Spaceman, XTAX Legend Shots, Simso, Rocker Dude, Vulgar Latin, EOJ, Rich, TA, Trio Achievement, Lego Head 1977, Pete Tart, and Jibbles, and Mr. Jester. EL Sock is on a 75-day achievement win streak. NBA Kirkland is on a 100-day achievement win streak. Heizo, 250 days, and Seamus McElimy, 1450. Nice job. In Achievements 1, AZ Mongoose has 7,000. Tony Coconuts has 7,500. iMike0 has 10,000. Wheezy Fuzz has 15,000. Enigma Gamer 77 has 18,000. And ZZ Urban Spaceman, thanks man, has 20,000 achievements. Well done.
In Gamerscore, Fista Roboto has 140,000. Unstoppable KD has 180,000. Neo21 with 380,000. Biggle with 600,000. And Mattism with 650,000 Gamerscore. In
By the way,
TA score,
sorry to cut you off.
Mm-hmm.
I just got 500,000 in January. What is going on here? Are we
I think you're playing some games, buddy.
Are we like achievement like hunters or something? We should make a podcast
Hunting.
about this. All right.
Yeah, I hit 400,000 in March, and I'm about to hit 500,000 myself.
Like I'm not even trying for this stuff. It's just happening. We're gonna have to start playing some games for fun and not achievement. No, sorry, Koosh, as you were.
No problem. On TA score, we have Hack and Bone with 200,000 TA, Fista Roboto with 300,000, LA Jester with 300,000, and Enigma Gamer 77 with 700,000 true achievement score.
Mr. Roboto, you need to come into the Discord. I need to ask you about your name. It's pretty amazing. Oh, back to me. Leaderboard.
Back to you, buddy.
The Alpha Seagulls in the top 20,000 of TA leaderboard. What? I was just laughing about how sometimes you like to mess with the commas, and then this time you gave me a number with lots of commas.
Well, there could be more.
Let's start over. The Alpha Seagulls in the top 20,000 of TA point and click. AZ Mongoose is in the top 50 of the Arizona TA leaderboard for fighting. I'm not going to tell you how long it took me to figure out that the AZ and Mongoose was actually for Arizona. Fista Roboto is now in the top 5 of the Australia TA leaderboard for cycling. Northern Lass is in the top 1,000 of the Gamerscore leaderboard for ID at Xbox. Oh, that's pretty awesome. And Chesno is in the top 200 of the England TA leaderboard for Xbox One fighting.
You know what? I think I'm going to track the ID at Xbox leaderboard myself. That sounds like a good one.
Yeah,
like
I was
fun.
thinking the same thing. It used to be where you had to click track my position, and that was the only way they show up. But I feel like they just show up on their own now. Is that true?
I think you still have to track them.
Really? To get them to show up? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. But anyways, that will do it for us for level 114. Stick around. We do have some great segments coming up. But if you would, follow us on Twitch, AH101, Twitter, Achievements 101, Discord. You can find us at discord.gg/AH101 temporarily. And get in on the Halloween nicknames. And then, of course, we have a Patreon if you would like to support us. Reminder, we do draw monthly for a Patreon and Twitch subscriber giveaway. And the Patreon is happening next week. Twitch is happening actually right now. And but you can get your subscription in there for next month, whenever is convenient for you. And so with that, thanks for listening. Class is dismissed.
Aren't we supposed to mention our live episode?
Is that happening?
Fufu told us to, and you said
Fufu
okay.
wants it to happen.
We might be live next week.
Fufu said it's going to happen. Fufu Cuddly Poof has taken off for a month. He's on siesta. He's got to join us next week live. He said only if it's live will he join us next week. So he better play some games.
Is he going to show us his baby bump?
Oh my goodness!
That's a bread baby.
Bread and Monster.
Bread and Old Bay. Oh, I think that will do it. So yeah, we might be live next week at twitch.tv/AH101 on Tuesday. Hope you are there and join us. So yeah, now class is dismissed.
Stephen King once wrote that nightmares exist outside of logic, and there's little fun to be had in explanations. They're antithetical to the poetry of fear. In a horror story, the victim keeps asking why, but there can be no explanation, and there shouldn't be one. The unanswered mystery is what stays with us the longest, and it's what we'll remember in the end. Do you know the true meaning of fear?
Hey guys, we're going to talk about some horror games. We figured that with Halloween around the corner and a special horror game month planned for Chewie's Challenge Championship, that myself, Chewie on Ice, and another resident horror fan, Mr. Vulgar Latin,
Hey, how's it going?
we'd get together and talk about some of our favourite horror games and couch that in our own experience with horror movies growing up, and just chat all things horror. As well as recommending some games. We're going to talk about some games that we definitely do not recommend. And we're also going to tie it into Chewie's Challenge Championship with some bonus points.
Ooh, bonus. So, we both talking to each other. I just found out that we absolutely love horror games. And just
Horror
in
anything,
general.
really.
Yeah, the genre. Which, it is something that I grew up with. I spent a lot of time watching all of the slasher movies and different types of horror media, really, in general. And, it's always a special time, October is, to play some of those and get kind of scared. What's your background with horror?
Similar. I mean, I grew up with the stuff, in particular, John Carpenter's The Thing. It just really stuck with me. Not for, like, obviously it was scary, but there was something more to it. I just loved the kind of craft of it. I just was obsessed with how they made the movies, the effects, obviously, but also how they kind of built the scares and kind of the tension. Yeah, I became obsessed with the genre. I used to go to the video store with my parents, and they'd have, in the UK, they'd have these shops that don't exist anymore, Andy's Records and MVC. And they were terrible at checking your age. You could just buy whatever. But even still, I'd walk up to my parents with they'd have like an offer for like 3 movies for £10. And I'd be like, okay, I've got Hellraiser 2, Nightmare on Elm Street 4, and Friday the 13th, Part 6 on video here. Can I get these, Mum and Dad? And they'd be like, yeah, sure. And I was 12 or something ridiculous like that. They wouldn't even check. And I'd have like friends come round to watch movies with me, and I'd be like, let's watch The Hitcher. It's great. You'll love it. And my friend would be like, it says it's an 18. And I'd be like, yeah, so? Throughout the, like you say, the 80s, the like slasher movies, a lot of that stuff really spoke to me. But also I became really fond of the kind of crazy Euro horror, the stuff the Italians were putting out in the 80s and 90s, most of which was a rip-off of a lot of the American stuff, but with their own crazy European twist.
Yeah, like I just recently did Suspiria. That was very weird and Italian.
The original or the
yes,
remake?
The original.
Yeah, I love all of that, the Argento movies. And the soundtrack to that is just amazing. Goblin.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
But I know that's a little bit about our background. Let's get into actual video games. And there's a lot. I think we've really tried to keep it to games that you can play on Xbox right now. Everything that we recommend here, just looking at it, is available on Xbox. So you can jump right in right along with us. And you might want to have reason to if you're a big CCCer, but we'll get to that in a minute. Why don't we start it off with your first recommendation?
Yeah, so I'm actually recommending Silent Hill 2, Part 2, which you can play as part of the Silent Hill HD collection. Comes along with Silent Hill 3, which I would also recommend as well.
I've done 3. I have not actually beaten 2 yet, but I have the collection, so I'm excited to give it a shot.
So I should say that if I could, I would choose Silent Hill 1. That game, I think, is probably one of my most played and at least most completed games of all time, predating achievements when I was forced to replay games multiple times for completions. I used to just stay up late on my PlayStation 1 playing that to death. I was a big Stephen King fan, big Twin Peaks fan. And also there's this movie, Jacob's Ladder.
Oh, yeah. That's creepy.
Brilliant film, which deals with kind of this guy who has these visions, demonic visions in the everyday world. And I feel like all of those are really strong inspirations for the Silent Hill games, and they'll kind of pull them together into this crazy mix of just crazy horror. And that first game was like the perfect experience for me when I grew up. The second game really refines the gameplay, and it introduced obviously its iconic pyramid head killer. You're playing as this guy. He's visiting Silent Hill because he's received a letter from his dead wife asking him to come. And from there he experiences a lot of fog, and a lot of monsters, a lot of locked doors. And yeah, I just really appreciate the kind of the dread that these games kind of build, the tension. And the fog hides all manner of sins when it comes to obviously the graphics and the look of the game, but it just kind of works. And also the soundtracks are just amazing. Akira Yamaoka, I think, if I'm butchering his name, writes all the music for those early Silent Hill games, and they're just fantastic.
The fog is something that is just... They really do a great job in Silent Hill 2, at least from what I've played. I haven't made it all the way through, but just making the town feel very alive. Like, it feels like a very real place, and it feels like a place that is against you. Very much so. Like, it is actively trying to harm you. It's what it feels like. And I know a lot of the themes in it as well is something that a lot of people really relate to, I guess, because it deals with a lot of things like loss and grief.
Yeah, so the first game has there's a theme of kind of parenthood and being a good parent, and because you're looking for your lost child. But actually, yeah, the second one deals with some quite mature themes. It's actually quite an adult game, quite clever in that way. Loss, grief, all of those play a kind of a part in it. Yeah, you're right. The fog, it kind of feels oppressive, and they also introduced this mechanic from the first one where you carry a radio around with you. And anytime there are creatures in the vicinity, the radio crackles with static. And anytime you're kind of wandering through the fog and you hear that crackling static, it gets your butt puckering.
Yeah, you hear that static and you know you gotta book it.
Yeah,
it is intense. It's a PS2 game originally, but it is a classic. I think it was also on OG Xbox, and yeah, you can play it on the collection, which has Silent Hill 3, which is also it's also pretty good. Silent Hill 3 does a lot of cool stuff. The main thing I remember is that you play as a 17-year-old girl, and she has all of the capabilities as such. So, like, she's not an action hero, so she shoots a shotgun, and it just shoots her back from the recoil. It's an interesting series, and and then there's other games that you can play too, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the ones that came after that, which you can play on the one, Homecoming and Downpour, are adequate, let's say.
Fine.
2 and 3 are really the kind of, well, 1, 2, and 3 are the pinnacle of the series.
1, 2, 3.
Although I will say that the HD collection is a bit of a buggy mess as a port.
Oh, yeah.
So you have to fight against that a little bit.
Yeah, the HD collection is not the best. It wouldn't be my way of recommending that series to anyone either, but if the only thing you have is an Xbox One or a 360, you could play it that way if you would like to. And you can get achievements too, which is, isn't that why we're here?
Report unusual behavior. Barricade your homes. Avoid all contact with infected individuals. Wait for official instructions. Wait my ass.
Kill all sons of bitches. That's my official instructions.
Mine is Left 4 Dead. 1 or 2, does not matter. I think that they're pretty much the same game, and that's not speaking derisively of Left 4 Dead. It's just that 2 takes a lot of the ideas and just gives you more, like more weapons, more zombies, more special infected, and they came out really close together. Like, I think within a year, Left 4 Dead 2 had already been released. It is a cooperative game. It's also a multiplayer game where you are 4 survivors going up against hordes of zombies trying to get to point A to point B in different campaign modes, different campaign areas. The big thing is with this one is that there's an AI director who's always trying to keep it interesting. So it will tailor the game as you're playing it. So it's not always the same experience every single time. It'll throw different pitfalls and different things at you. It is a lot of fun. I probably spent the most time with 2, though I have the original, and I did play a lot of that too. It's great. It is a really fun time working cooperatively.
Yeah, I've played both of these, and I tend to agree that they are very enjoyable, but they are definitely best played with others. I played them on my own and kind of, it was okay, it was fine, but playing with other people really kind of adds to the experience, especially if you're a bit of a griefer like myself. My favorite thing to do playing in the second game was I used to play it with my brother-in-law, and I'd always keep a bile bomb on me. And anytime I heard the horde music, it's the little musical cue that signaled that the horde was coming, the first thing I would do is throw the bile bomb directly on my brother-in-law and then run as far away as possible. He loved it.
Oh yeah, and well, in the multiplayer mode too, you can cause some real chaos in the multiplayer mode. The big thing I will recommend though is never split the group. If you start running off on your own, you will die. There's just a lot of special infected that will knock you down and cause you a lot of harm. 2 is probably the one I would more highly recommend just because it's just more. But 1 is solid. It is a very good game. 2 just adds more weapons, more everything.
Nice.
I liked the theme as the South in 2, and I think that just really worked.
Yeah, I will say that I have not completed both games on the harder difficulty modes. So during October, if anyone wants to join me, then I will be more than happy to do so.
Oh, yeah. I have not completed the first game. So there's still a lot that I need to do in the first one as well. And yeah, I might hit you up there because I love playing these, but they are best played with a group. Mm-hmm. Playing them by yourself, it's fine, but I think it really works best with you and 3 friends. Mm-hmm. Picking your favorite people. I always pick Bill or Ellis. For those who are curious, those are my 2 mains in each game.
Automatic quarantine must have tripped when the filtration system restarted. Everybody relax.
What was that? Did you hear that?
Not sure.
The hell? I don't know. Something's in the room with us.
Jesus! Overfire! Overfire!
Come on.
I've already explained how my first pick, Silent Hill, kind of played into all the things that I loved growing up. And it's kind of a survival horror experience, but it's very grounded. But my next game is a survival horror experience that's not grounded. In fact, it's set in space.
No one can hear you scream.
And I already mentioned that The Thing was one of my favorite films. I really loved the body horror elements and the crazy effects, you know, people's bodies literally tearing to pieces as they transform into these hideous alien beings. I also love the original Alien movie. So my pick is Dead Space 1 because I think it also brings all of those elements together. It's got the fear and the horror, the body horror, but I also like the kind of sci-fi elements. It feels very isolating being stuck in the vastness of space on a spaceship that's doomed. And I think the first game in particular for me really captures those feelings. And it's also got those kind of same themes of madness as well, because you're never quite sure if what the protagonist Isaac is experiencing is 100% real. Basically, the cause of the infection in Dead Space is these, what I think they're called markers, these very ancient monuments that have been built and can send out these, I guess, telepathic feelings and thoughts into people's minds that kind of make them go crazy. But increasingly, as they get infected by this madness, they also transform into hideous necromorphs, as they're called.
It reminded me a lot of Event Horizon.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That is one of the most underrated movies, I think, of all time. Personally speaking, that's one of my favorites.
Like, they would work very well as a companion to one another. Dead Space and Event Horizon, yeah. I think. And what I liked the most about the OG Dead Space was the fact that Isaac is an engineer. He is not a soldier or anything, so all of his weapons are construction tools, essentially. and you fight enemies by dismemberment.
Yeah, I like the it's almost counterintuitive, the combat, because normally in these kind of games, especially zombie games, you're shooting for the head, but in this game, no, you've got to take the limbs off.
It's great. The first one, I think, does a lot of really good stuff. And as a side note, this is kind of interesting, but actually, if you take the first letter in each of the chapters, you'll get an interesting message there, and I don't want to spoil what that is. It's spooky, and yeah, it has a lot of that mental elements there. It's a good third-person shooter, and it's very scary. I really enjoy it.
It really keeps that claustrophobic horror thing going. The tension kind of stays throughout. A few twists and turns along the way. The action kind of builds up as they introduce new necromorph types. But it never feels like, at least in the first game, it never feels like it's too full on. They keep it tense.
Yeah, I know that. I think this one's also, I believe they gave it out for Games with Gold.
Yeah.
If people are interested. And I think it is also on EA Access.
Step 1, crawl inside. Step 2, this screws so tight, all around. Cross my heart and hope to the heart. Stick a needle in the eye.
Moving on to the next game, I see in my notes here that there's a linking element here.
So I actually was going to recommend, when we did this as independent, but I actually liked Dead Space 2 a little bit more. I think what I liked the most about it was that it takes place in a space station, It wasn't like the first one, the Ishimara is the name of the ship in that. And it's a big size ship, but I don't feel like you get a lot of the human element as to what went wrong. And in 2, it's kind of happening. Like the bad stuff and all of the horror stuff or the things falling apart is happening while it's going on. And for me, my favorite part of any zombie story is the part where society is breaking down. That's the part that I think is the most terrifying. Not afterwards where everyone's in the post-apocalypse, but the time where people are they're still trying to get some order. There's a lot of elements that I feel like they do in 2 that really hit hard. So there's an enemy type that is, an infant or children is an enemy type. And it just, and as you're going through it, you just have this realization and it's just like, oh man, people lived here, man. You have to go through like a school. It adds a bit of realness to it, I guess. And that's why I liked the second one. It is a lot more of the same in terms of like adding more weapons and everything. And I'd actually recommend that you play the first one and then play the second one. I think that's probably a better order of operations.
Yeah.
It also has a lot of free DLC. So you can get that going now, I think. And there's a multiplayer mode, which I've never played.
Yeah, there was no achievements tied to the multiplayer, thankfully. So it was something that could be avoided.
In the DLC, there is. Ooh. I think that the first 2 Dead Space games are awesome. I can't highly recommend them enough. But 2 was the one that edged it out for me.
It's interesting you say that because, so for me, can you remember what the place is called in 2?
No.
The Sprawl.
Yeah.
So for me, that kind of sums it up a bit because I don't know what it is, and it might just be because I'm one of these snobby purists, but I always really enjoy things when they stay small and when they start small.
Gotcha, yeah.
And it's true of the first Silent Hill game, the first Resident Evil game, first Dead Space game. They have a very kind of small, focused vision. It's also true of movies a lot of the time. I think about the first Alien movie in comparison to the rest. It takes place in one small setting. It's got a small cast of characters, and it's really creepy and tense. And then in the second ones, often they go bigger. Bigger isn't always better. In a lot of cases, it can be, and they can refine the formula and they can improve on it. But sometimes I just miss that, I guess, claustrophobia of the first entries. And actually, it extends outside of horror for me as well. I know we've talked about this before, but your favorite Batman game, I believe, the Arkham games, is City. Am I right?
Yep.
Mine is Asylum. And it's for the same reason. It's that kind of focused, claustrophobic, controlled environment, and it feels more kind of tight. But when they get bigger, I get a bit kind of lost, to me, a bit more overwhelmed, or a bit more sprawling, and maybe a bit less focused. Not that they're bad, just it's kind of a different experience. And I kind of equate that to the first Alien film, which is like a horror film. It's tight, it's intense, it's very deliberately paced, and then the second one is like it's an action movie, and that's kind of what I worry about. And you know, I'd say that's not fair to say to something like Dead Space 2, which actually does keep the horror, but it is maybe fair to say that it's kind of stepping more into the realms of losing that and moving more into the action world.
Well, it's not 3.
And unfortunately, that's kind of they saw that and thought, that's what people want, right? And then 3 came along, which we'll talk about.
Yeah,
in a bit.
which we'll get. We'll get there. Yeah. I felt like it was a natural progression from the story to get to more. I liked the falling apart of a society.
Yeah,
which I think you get to see that, and that's and there's some set piece moments, especially with someone's eye.
Oh gosh, yeah.
That are just so memorable.
That sticks in their head. Yeah, literally.
Yeah. So I that's why I went to 2 immediately. That's the one that kind of had a bigger thing for me.
What is the matter?
Father?
So this is a bit of maybe unusual. So I could have gone through the vast backlog of great horror titles from the past, but I'm actually going to choose something that I have literally just completed yesterday. It's a newer game, and it's not pure horror, but it is pretty horrific, and that is A Plague Tale: Innocence. This is a game that came out, I think now, a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. Maybe less than that.
Year and a half
actually.
sounds fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been in Game Pass for a few months now. So it is set in 14th century France during the time of the 100 Years' War and the Inquisition and the Black Death. So it's not in great shape, France, at this time. Well, most of Europe is in pretty bad shape. So there's a lot of elements there that make it pretty horrific. And you play the game as 2 young children having to kind of navigate all of this stuff. But primarily it's the rats that play the horror element into it. You play most of the game navigating through towns, villages, castles, cathedrals, trying to avoid the ravenous hordes of thousands and thousands of rats, and using what little light you have to fend them off because they're scared of light. And I just found it a really great experience. It's the first few chapters of the game are super, super intense. Some of the most tense things I've played in quite some time, actually. I wasn't expecting them to kind of be so horrific.
This was one that's been on my radar, and I'll definitely have to check that out. Yeah, I just remember the swarms of rats.
I think if you have any kind of fear of rodents, it's not the game to play. Put it that way.
I don't like rats, but I'll give it a shot. They rip people apart. That's what I remember.
Also, so you've watched a load of horror films, and in general, would you say that children in horror films are some of the better characters, or usually some of the more annoying characters?
It depends.
Yeah,
but there's certain times where like the children characters are great, but there's other times where they're bad. It just depends on the movie.
Yeah,
like Newt in Aliens.
Oh, awesome!
Great. Yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of the times when you've got kids in films, like horror films especially, you know that they're probably not going to die, and they're somehow going to be amazingly evasive or smart or able to deal with the situations that the adults cannot, which is often very unrealistic. in this game, you're playing as young children, or at least a girl who is a kind of a teenage girl, and then she's escorting her young brother who's very, very young. And somehow they managed to make them just the right amount of kind of innocent and childlike, and you're seeing things through their eyes, but they're very vulnerable. And actually they get the tone just right, I think, where you really, really care about them. And actually it makes you kind of think, oh, crap. These are just kids having to deal with this really, really horrendous situation that they find themselves in.
Yeah, I think I will probably try to get that one done here in October.
It's very doable within a month as well, especially if it gets announced as leaving. People should definitely jump on that before it leaves Game Pass.
My next one was Resident Evil. There's a lot of Resident Evil games that I would recommend, but I'll keep it to the first one. I've actually played the majority of this series and beaten them on the various platforms, and I own all of the Resident Evil games, minus 3. Yeah, I love them. It is one of my first sort of horror game memories, is Resident Evil 1 on the PlayStation.
Same.
I won't want to say it's like the game that it put survival horror kind of on. It made it a big deal, from what I remember. There were other survival horror games that existed. I'm not going to say that it was the first one, but it was the first like big one. It's kind of like the Street Fighter 2 of survival horror. And the remake, which is the one that's available on the Xbox, is fantastic. And I think in a lot of ways better than the original, which is weird. It looks amazing. The Resident Evil remake came out originally on the GameCube, and on the Xbox One, it still holds up with the pre-rendered graphics and everything. Still amazing. It's a fun game with a lot of puzzle solving. You don't have enough ammo to take down everything. You play as a team called Stars that is examining a weird mansion after a series of, I guess, cannibalistic attacks. There's 2 different campaigns. There's a Jill and a Chris campaign. And yeah, if you are so inclined, I think every mainline Resident Evil is on Xbox. And 7, which is almost too scary for me, that's also on Game Pass. 7 is terrifying. But 1 is the one that, there's a lot of moments in 1 that are just going to be in my brain forever, that I don't want to spoil.
In the remake, do they still have the classic live-action video introduction with the terrible acting?
Unfortunately, no. They also redid the dialogue, so you do not get the Jill sandwich line. So in the original PlayStation version, you can engineer a scenario where you almost get squished, and Barry comes and saves you and says, "That was too close. You almost became a Jill sandwich." You also don't get a reference to Jill being the master of unlocking, which became such a meme that I believe you'll see it all over the place in achievements and all kinds of stuff, being the master of unlocking. It's a pretty huge game.
Yeah, it was definitely the one that started it all. I also remember playing it on the PlayStation, but I don't think I ever finished it. I think Silent Hill was the one that pulled me over to that side, and Resident Evil was always kind of something I enjoyed but never quite got to grips with. I did do 2, and I've since done 5 on the 360, but I've just kind of skipped around a lot on that series.
I have not actually beaten 6 because I don't like Resident Evil 6.
I mean, who does?
Well, I do and I don't. Resident Evil 6 completely jumps the shark and becomes kind of a farce.
It's a bit schizophrenic, isn't it? Because it takes every different type of game that they tried to make and kind of throws them all together.
Yeah, and it becomes a much more action-y sort of game. So the 2 remake is awesome. I need to go back and finish that. That's on my list. I haven't done the 3 remake, but I have the OG version of 3 here on my shelf. That's pretty fun. I enjoyed that. 4 is awesome. 4 is a classic in its own right and completely remixes it, makes it fresh and fun. Code Veronica I need to go back to, but it's backwards compatible. You can play it. 5 is a little goofy but fun co-op. 6 is ridiculous, and 7 is pretty spooky. Is downright terrifying. 7 reinvents itself in the same way that 4 reinvents Resident Evil.
And they're continuing down that thread with 8, aren't they? So the 8 is in the 7 style, but then they're also remaking the original ones. So they kind of got 2 threads going.
They remade 3, and I think the reason they remade 3 was that's the only one that wasn't available. So I don't know if they'll ever do 4. I think 4 is perfect as is. It's a little dated. There's some things that are a little weird with 4, but 4 would be another one that I would put on here. I think that's it for the ones we wanted to spotlight, but there are others that we were going to put on the list here. I'll name out some of mine. Costume Quest, which is the game I would recommend if you wanted to play something with children, like small children, like 8 and up. Costume Quest 1 for sure, and 2 is also really good. Alan Wake is awesome. That's on Game Pass. Alien Isolation hits a lot of the same notes as the movie, the first movie, which is the scary one. Amnesia, the collection, all very terrifying. And I believe you had some shout-outs as well.
Yeah, so I just wanted to kind of, talk broadly that a lot of the ones we've mentioned are kind of touching these classic survival horror notes. But there was a trend in the last, I don't know how long now it's been, maybe 7 or 8 years, where the kind of first person hide and seek horror kind of came out. Like the one you mentioned there, Alien Isolation is one of those. But also there's Amnesia, there's Soma, the game club game that Waka did a while ago now. Outlast as well, and its sequel. And then there's also the blooper games that they've been knocking out for the last few years. So there's Laserfear 1 and 2, Observer, which is less horror and more sci-fi, but it's definitely got some pretty creepy elements. And also the Blair Witch game, which follows that kind of same mold. So, as well as the good ones, there are also a fair share of pretty awful horror games on the one, on 360 and the one. So I wanted to highlight one in particular, which just really, it's Alone in the Dark. Have you played that one?
I started it and I never finished it. I have it for 360. Yeah, it's bad.
I mean, it's very, very dated. The controls are very, very cumbersome, and the kind of it takes the old tank controls of Resident Evil, and it adds a really, really cumbersome inventory system where you literally have to look down to look in your coat to see what inventory you've got, and kind of like it's just really awkward because it's like you're looking down at what's on your belt.
They tried.
And it's just really weird and random. It's got you drive around New York and it's really bad driving controls, really bad shooting controls. The story is absolutely nonsensical. It's quite a poor game. And then there's the those first person ones that I mentioned, where they kind of did the hide and seek first person kind of gameplay. There's some pretty poor pretenders that exist there. Caretaker being one that I'd say definitely avoid that one. In fact, it appeared in Gaming Hell recently.
Caretaker is so bad. It is, and it's not even like it was cheap too. It was I think it was like $8 I had to pay for for the privilege of completing Caretaker. It is not a good game.
Yeah. I think Your Toy is also pretty notorious for being very, very bad. It features a giant stuffed bear as the main creature in that.
Yeah, it's bad. I don't like that one either. There's an RNG achievement that I still have never been able to get, and I had some that I was going to mention to stay away from. On the topic of really janky Chinese games, Reborn Insanity, not good. Completable in under an hour if you're into such things, but it is bad. Back in 1995, as a Ratalaika, is trying to hit the same notes as Silent Hill and Resident Evil, but I don't think it does it nearly as well as those games. It's just not very good. Horrors of the Deep, another pretender first-person hide-and-seek game, but just not done very well at all. And then the other one I was going to mention was Dead Space 3, which neither of us like. It's co-op, so there are co-op sections, but I felt like they did them more to excess, and they kept relying on the same sort of things for jump scares to the point where it kind of got funny for me. So literally anytime you walk by a vent in Dead Space 3, you're going to get ambushed. And once you know that fact, it becomes a lot more funny. Because like, oh, hey, there's a vent over there. I bet some necromorphs are going to come ambush me. Every single time.
They basically abandoned the tension and atmosphere and horror from the first two games and just went, well, it's basically an action game at this point.
I will say, I will give it credit. I like the idea. It's on like a frozen planet. And I like that kind of idea, harkening back to like The Thing. Of things being barren and devoid of life. But it's too actiony. It's just not as good as other games in the ilk. And I cannot recommend it. Also, it started that EA trend where you could like buy materials and things like that to make the game go quicker. You don't need to, but it's still just left a bad taste in some people's mouth.
Well, bad taste enough that it killed the franchise as well.
Yeah, and the studio. Yeah. Yeah, I think they would have been better served just leaving it at the first two.
So, much like a few of the other challenges we've done, which are kind of series or genre-based, we've had the Lego Challenge, we've had a Fighting Challenge from Chesno this month, last
September,
month.
yeah.
For September. In October, we'd like people to play scary games. We could just make it easy for ourselves and say horror, survival horror, or action horror games, ones that are actually in the genres in TA, but a lot of the games we've talked about here and a lot of other games aren't actually classified as quote-unquote horror games according to their genre. They just have horror elements. A lot of the walking sims are not horror games. So any game that has horrific themes or horror elements can get you points by playing those games. Points this time are going to be the gamer score. But if you play any of the games that we've mentioned in any of the series that we've particularly highlighted, so that would be any Silent Hill games, any Dead Space games, apart from 3, not 3, any Resident Evil games, any Left 4 Dead games, or Plague Tale, you will get a 1.666 bonus for any gamer score you earn in those games.
Yeah, and if you play any games that we said to avoid, which were Alone in the Dark, Your Toy, Caretaker, Dead Space 3, Horrors of the Deep, back in 1995, and Reborn Insanity, we're going to penalize you for not listening to us, and you get a 0.5, so they're only worth half. And also, I would like to say, let's just keep this between us, huh? So don't go posting on the Discord all the games lists. We'll just keep it between us, and they have to listen to the segment, huh?
Yeah, so we're offering this bonus, obviously, to podcast listeners who listen to the segment. I will be announcing the overall challenge over in the Discord channel, but I will not be mentioning the bonus. And if anyone wants to play any of the games that we've mentioned that include multiplayer, we're thinking particularly, obviously, the Left 4 Dead games, then feel free to hit us up. I definitely, myself, would want to play the Left 4 Dead campaigns with anyone in the Discord.
Same here.
And share your experiences with horror games and just horror in general. If there are any other horror fans out there, we'd love to know. And maybe we can, set up a channel.
Let's not do that. But yeah, if there's other games too that you think should count as horror, just let us know and we can hash it out in the Discord for that. There's tons of games that we didn't even mention that or haven't played yet either too. So, we haven't played everyone. So I know Dead by Daylight is one that I've always wanted to get to.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, it's a pretty great genre. There's a lot of games in there that I think it'll be a fun month of fun and spooky month.
Okay, well with that, it just leaves me to say thank you for joining me, Vulgar, in this exploration of our own horror experiences and horror games. And I hope you all enjoy playing some spooky games this month.
All right, thanks so much. You have a good one.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Stop it! You're ignorant.
They're coming for you, Barbara.
Stop it! You're acting like a child.
They're coming for you. Look, there comes one of them now.
Hello and welcome. I'm Waka and hopefully haven't croaked out of the leapfrog competition. Getting one more achievement than the target of the previous day is not easy, and as we are fast approaching 20 achievements per day, I have a recommendation for you. Bucket Knight is a kind of a terrible platformer starring the titular gun-wielding Bucket Knight, who is interested in purchasing a house but lacks the funds to do so. Unfortunately, the bank is not interested in helping out unless you find them a holy grail. Whether the grail is a down payment or a one-to-one trade is not entirely clear. Bucket Knight invades the lair of the goblins to steal their money and the grail, murdering anyone who gets in his way. Why would I recommend such a horrible title? Simple, it has a bunch of quick and easy achievements available. 34 out of them to be exact, all of which can easily be obtained in an hour or two without using a guide. The only thing you should keep in mind is that you can dashboard out of the game after purchasing guns to save some in-game cash and time. While the platforming is bad, you won't have to put up with it for very long, as it is very easy after figuring out the weird controller mappings. Jumping and shooting uses the wrong buttons, and more than once I accidentally pulled up the store menu, which doesn't freeze the game by the way, and ended up leading to Mr. Knight's demise. Having Y reset the level made very little sense to me until I got stuck in a wall. I leave it up to you if 34 achievements, 1000 game score and 1050 TA in an hour is worth $5. Achievements aside, Bucket Knight isn't. Have a nice day everyone!